Well, I had taken a bike to work today and I kind of got done with what I wanted to do fairly early. So I ran into town. That's part of my mail. And I was looking for 323 bullets, just see if anybody, if they happen to have any of them on hand, because I want to work up a load with jacketed bullets for the Mausers. But I tell you, bullets were in short supply. But interestingly enough, I was surprised to see, there really isn't much for bullets, and the powder situation is probably as bad as it's ever been. But I already got, a few cans of this on hand, but I figured I'd pick up another one with 4064 because I use that in almost all my rifles. And oddly enough, this is one of the few things they had. And the guy said, we got a lot of that. And I don't know why that is. Like I say, I use it in most of my guns, in my rifles. Because it's, like I keep looking for Varget because the Mosins do like Varget. But this is really close to Varget. It's right the next one in the burn rate chart. So it's very close to Varget. So as long as this is available, I'm a happy man. But I tell you, she was some pickings on anything else. But one other thing I did pick up there was brass. 9mm brass. It's stuff that's been fired. And they evidently resize them and deprime them. It says fully processed. I actually don't know how many's in here even. Yeah, I should have looked. I don't know if it's supposed to be 100 or a 50. Well, there's even some nickel-plated ones in here. But $14.99, I figure, okay, usually with the automatics, I lose about half the brass. No, this goes in that Zastava, and that isn't bad because it kicks them straight up so they're laying on their feet. But I figure rather than, I've got Starline brass that I use, better to use this stuff up. It's a mixture of everything. There's Winchester, Spear. Maybe even sort them out by brand. But for that price, if you're going to lose a lot of them. So I really don't know how many's supposed to be in there. But it seemed reasonable to me. Got a few other things. In fact, some labels. I tend to write on these blank labels and stick them on there, and sometimes they fall off or the ink doesn't work. This might be worth having. But like I said, I was surprised. At least there's primers. I can say that. For a couple of years there, primers were tough to find. Now, on the last video, somebody just made a comment, wondering, we'd like to have one of these Zastavas, these M70A. They're 9mm, that's what he used that brass in. And like he was saying, the price, I do see them listed for like 200, 250 around in there. But he was wondering if that was worth it. Because I think he said after charge it'd be like 260, to get it. But I don't remember what I paid for it. It might have been around 250. But I'd have to say, yeah, it's worth it because you're getting a very, very well-tried action. That Tokarev design has been around a long time. They aren't a pretty gun, and they certainly aren't fancy, but I don't need pretty or fancy. It's a very durable, solid piece of equipment. It's a slim gun, but it's still, if it was a carry gun, I think it's a little on the heavy side for that if you were trying to conceal this thing, a pretty good sized gun. But I like, like some of the older other ones had a shorter grip on the Tokros, but this has got, a good, decent grip on it. But I like them. I think I would certainly recommend them. Partly because for the money, I just happened to get the Gander Mountain Flyer in the mail. It was out in the box today. And just glancing through here, there's really nothing comparable to that. You look at all these, most of these things, they're all them polymer things, which I really have no desire to own. And you're always looking at, like, here's a Smith & Wesson for $349. Well, that's $100 more than what this gun is. And I can bet you that this will outlast that gun. I think, them polymer ones just don't appeal to me. I mean, I can see, well, people like the lightweight, which, yeah, I can see that, but I shoot better with a little heavier gun. If I was going for a smaller gun, then I like my macro, it's a nice size. But I can't see that I'll ever own one of these polymer ones. There's no character to them. Well, the same with the polymer rifles. I'll never own one with a polymer stock. I mean, there's all kinds of them, and they're relatively cheap. Like here, a Savage 329, but that's just not me at all. I would never get to like that gun. You can get attached to a regular old steel, but them polymers kind of leave me cold. But there's a slug of them, because I think that, if you're just molding a grip, you can put them out pretty fast. But like I said, it's good in a way. I can look through these flyers, and I never see anything to think, oh God, I'd like to have one of them. It just doesn't happen. There just isn't really anything in there that interests me. I prefer the older guns. But I'd swear, these things will be garbage, and these old ones will still be working. And it isn't like these polymer ones are ever going to get more valuable over time. They just aren't. I don't know. It depends on a person's attitude. But like I say, them polymer ones leave me cold. There's some of them that are nice, but nothing that I say, oh, I'd really like to have that. Even when you look at the revolvers here, because because you're talking to a guy who thinks that, a Nagant is like the ultimate in guns. But here, even the revolvers, a 38 Smith & Wesson, at least it's got a hammer on it, because a lot of these are hammerless. And I want a hammer. But you're looking $450. That's a lot of money. To me, that's really like a $200 gun or less. Because they're really. But like I said, these polymer ones, they can make them cheap. I've got no interest. I look at them in stores, and I can just walk by them. They're just nothing to me. But something like this will catch my eye because it's interesting design. I like these. But I like any of the older style guns, and these have been kicking around for a long time. The great advantage is that it is in a common caliber, to get a 9mm rather than have to deal with that Tokar round. Though, like I say, I would like to have one of the older ones that actually shoots that Tokar round. And I'm really not fond of having a safety, but for most guns, for me, a safety is just something else to go wrong. I'd sooner not see it on there at all. And the old ones didn't have it, because that's just makes it unnecessarily complicated. That's where the Nagant is, like I say, the ultimate in firearms. Nothing, no safeties. You just got to use your brain.